Hello everyone, Juicebags here. Tonight we're playing some Orcs Must Die 2 again. We're going to try The Crossing on co-op endless mode. Tipsy and I giving it a shot again. We're kind of unsure of this strategy, but we went on and jumped right in. Ended up getting a decent score. It wasn't quite what we were looking for, but it's what it was. So things I probably would have changed now that I look at it is towards the end we really needed all of our mana for the crossbow stun, and we both took a secondary weapon. I took the flame bracers and Tipsy took the ring of lightning, which was very good for combo building through the beginning waves, but towards the end completely unused essentially. Anyways, take a look at our layout here. Basically, the strategy we're going to take is Tipsy's going to take the top side, and I'm going to take the bottom side, and we're just essentially going to do our best to solo each bridge, and then go through and help each other if we can. The benefit on the top side, of course, is having that wall, so we're going to have to keep the minecart rolling down below, and set that wall up with some grinders. As you see, Tipsy laying out the barricades here. As anyone who's given this map a shot already, combos are a little tricky, kind of hard to come by on here. So we're doing what we can. We've got to start off with a very small amount of the kill box, essentially. One scorcher, one grinder up top, barricaded off, and down here we're going to throw in a couple of barricades and
like
get another scorcher going here too.
But with orcs instead of books.
Like I'd already mentioned, we still don't really think we have a sound strategy for this map. Although we did score in the top 10, we're able to get our 5 skulls for making it past wave 40. Wasn't quite what we wanted it to be. But just to start off, just setting up just some basic assistance. We're essentially going to be killing everything manually ourselves for this first wave. But here we go. I took those flame bracers, of course, as I said. I've got those with the stun, trying to help add to whatever combos I can get. I was actually shocked at the combos I did get. I think I ended up getting a 9 or 10x down here, which I was pretty shocked about. I was expecting the slower side to be pretty slim on the combos. But the minecart helps out quite a bit. Even up until those later waves, the knockback on it was completely perfect. It kept everything on the track. Never once knocked anything over one of the barricades. So it worked out great. As you see, just to get started off here, we're just going to go ahead and kill these guys manually, get through the first few waves, and build up some coins, see what we can do. Once again, this you see the loadout that we brought with us. If I was to try this again, I probably would have chose maybe auto ballistas as one instead of instead of flame bracers. And we're not really sure on that ring of lightning. Now, it did help out quite a bit through these first waves, building up the combos. But as you see later on, we essentially don't use them at all. The flame bracer was nice, get a little stun up front there, let the minecart get in and get its job done.
That's a lot of dead orcs.
I'm pretty sure with this strategy also. Now I've done it once on solo, and then this run of course on co-op. But anyone who uses this strategy is going to get the achievement for killing, I don't even remember what it is, but killing so many orcs with the minecart. Because the minecart definitely, it saved this entire lower section of the bridge. So unfortunately I don't have Tipsy's view going here, but you see mine. I'm just basically parked up here. Throughout this whole fight, really the challenge as we build out this area where I just dropped the brimstone there, we want to want to do our best to keep the mobs right there. That's where all the combos are going to happen. Of course, it doesn't quite work out that way, but it would have been ideal if we could have just kept everything stunned up right there at that section. Excuse me, got some allergies going.
Sometimes I amaze myself. Hold them back.
Now, as we go, there is a little bit of running back and forth. Basically, whoever cleared their crossing off first would, you know, go down and assist the other.
No.
It was definitely pretty tough because this map, the rift doesn't heal you, and as we progressed, there's practically no healing at all. So you see, I got the little potion right there, but those get few and far between as we go on. The boom barrels here were a big part of it, and that's why we really wanted to keep the mobs stunned up in that area. Let me go ahead and see what we can do for old Tipsy here. He's got the top side pretty sound. 2 grinders now, so that's a good start. Or no, he went on with 3. Try to get 3. You know, most of the mobs aren't going to make it past 3 grinders this wave. So it was a nice little boost up top for him.
This should slow them down.
This, when, you know, of course it's going to get crushed at some point, but when we did it, the high score on this map was like 1.5 million. So it's practically nothing in comparison to the, you know, the other high scores. But part of that is just the challenge with the combos. There's really no suitable spot to make a nice kill box. You can do a nice little mini kill box right back at the rift, but it's so close to the rift that if anything makes it through, they're just going to head straight on in. When you use those boom barrels there, it's pretty important to put the spike traps underneath, because a lot of them don't go off, and then it works out perfect with the spike traps, because as soon as a mob, of course, crosses onto the spike traps, they go off and then set that boom barrel off, and they're just, you get 2 or 3 of those boom barrels sitting down there. It's devastating to whatever is in the path. And trying to check out the view upstairs here, see what Tipsy's got going. We wanted to try to get a zapper somewhere up there, but it seemed kind of pointless because it would just wreck some combos. We don't want anything to die before it makes it to the grinders there, of course.
Food fight!
Going through this was it was a very fun run, but it was very difficult and definitely pretty tough with the combos. Not being able to slap the tar down in the path of where we want the mobs to run was very rough for us because, of course, everything just waltzed right on through. This essentially is the whole run now. Obviously, as we build out, we get pushed back further and further. See, there's some small combos going there. Nothing really exceptional yet. You also have to be really careful with the little runners. The kobold runners, if you're not careful, will just blaze right past you. They're so small sometimes. A couple times I didn't even notice until they were past, and I had to chase them down. As we're going on, I'd like to just mention, you know, I'm a relatively new YouTuber. I'm an old gamer, but new to the video editing, so I have to excuse some of the quality of my videos so far. But I will be updating them constantly. I'll be putting new stuff up, playing different games. Right now I'm very excited about Orcs Must Die 2. I was a big fan of the first game, and I've been playing this one pretty religiously here lately. I think I'm rated around, well, between the Sorceress and the War Mage, I'm probably at about 200,000 Orc kills now, something like that. But having a lot of fun with it. As a new YouTuber, though, please leave all the comments that you can. Be happy to get any constructive criticism, and I will be adding new videos several times a week, so by all means, feel free to subscribe. money bags coming through. Tipsy cleared out the top already, so he's coming down and giving a little hand with it. The little kill zone right in front of where I'm at there, this area here is crucial for this lower side. That's essentially where you want to try to keep as many of the mobs as you can. And you want to buff this out as best as you can. Now, we kind of ran out of places to put the traps where it seemed like they would be effective, so we just continued to build backwards across the crossing instead of just sitting there on top of it. Pretty easy still at this point. The early waves, wave 1 can catch you off guard if you're not careful. Now we had the secondary weapons, so that made wave 1 very easy. But if you don't take those, it can be a little bit of a challenge because you can be overtaken just a little bit by the mobs. Just keep them stunned up as best you can. Keep them in the few amount of traps that you do have there. Yeah, I'm excited to see some other videos on this map. I haven't seen anything so far to really learn from. I'm sure someone has probably come up with a better strategy than I, but this is what we've come up with so far. Went on and swapped that front grinder out for an acid sprayer. Tipsy's acid sprayer's got the slow on it, so we're just trying to get another combo there. Slow, the scorcher, and then into the grinder. We're going to essentially build all the way out across the crossing exactly as we're doing right now. Each time we remove the barricade to the right there that I just jumped on, and we move that back a spot. Now, in a conventional kill box, a lot of people are tempted to put that barricade right up front. The reason we've decided to stretch it out towards the back is because it doesn't matter if you put it in the front or the back, nothing is going to run down there. But if you put it towards the back, then you've essentially just have one barricade up front that you have to worry about the sappers. So even if sappers come and wreck one of your barricades, it's not near as devastating to you. The mobs are still forced
like a nice medium
to continue
rare
down the track.
Warm pink center.
Now we debated on it. If it seems that if you really buff out this upper crossing and then allow the minecart to go through it, I wonder exactly how much time someone would actually have to spend down there or up top, and then both of us could stay down at the bottom. But this is the strategy we took, and it worked well for us. We were really hoping to get that top spot, but we were a few 100,000 shy. Couldn't get the combos big enough.
This is what I need.
Let me go on and build out. It's really more important to build out the lower crossing more than the top crossing across the bridge because of the minecart. You want to, of course, keep everything in the path of the minecart. So you see what we got going there. Just trying to do our best to get it buffed out.
None shall pass.
I would have loved to have had another wall there to work with, but or a lower ceiling, one of the two. With the loadout we chose essentially on the ceiling, the only option we had was the shock zap.
Kill streak.
With the stun, of course, so that helped keeping some of the mobs down there. Wanted to keep, I added the stun to that instead of chaining to additional mobs, because we want to try to keep them there where that acid sprayer is and the boom barrels are dropping. As you see there, some boom barrels went off. No extremely huge combos, but a whole bunch of little ones all at once. The boom barrels are mean, no doubt about that.
I'm an orc filling teeth.
These fire elementals were a bit of a challenge. Now the little
This has to be some sort of wreck.
firelings or whatever the
This
hell
one's
they're
for
called.
me.
It's essentially a little firebomb. It's going to chase you down
Hey, look, room
after you
service.
blow up the bigger fire elementals.
This
So
shit
anyone
shut
who hasn't
this
done
perhaps. Get
any
it?
of the newer maps yet, which I'm sure anyone who's watching this already has, you know, all you have to do is just jump over the barricades, run back through the traps, and those elementals will follow you all the way through. One of the funnest things about this run is it was a good, good co-op opportunity on endless mode that doesn't take 4 hours. So part of the challenge of this map is building the combos. But it's also a very small map, very short distance for the orcs to run. Very tough to get the combos, so it goes by real quickly.
Sweet!
I think this run took us about an hour, I believe. Something along those lines. Tipsy coming and ganking my skull. I see how it's going to be.
It's about to get awkward. For that.
Yeah, it's definitely debatable that throwing that firewall right at the beginning of every round. Most waves, it definitely helped with some combo building. But using this strategy, the most effective thing you can do is stay back as far as you can and just stun, headshot, stun. But we chose those secondary weapons to give us a little more burst if we needed it. So I was throwing the firewall out. Tipsy had his lightning ring spec'd with the lightning storm lasting longer. So he was throwing lightning storms up top, and I was throwing the firewall down below. And you see, pretty smooth run so far. Especially with the secondary weapons, it's not even remotely a challenge, these lower stages. Nothing can make it past the grinders or the minecart. So you see, we got a boom barrel right on top of those grinders there. One of the nice parts, or one of the nice things about having the boom barrels above the grinder is also one of the things that kind of sucks, is that the grinder sets the boom barrel off. Now if there's mobs underneath, of course, that's a very nice thing. But of course the boom barrels don't drop as we like them to drop. They drop on their own rate. So quite a few of them do get blown up without doing anything productive at all. Trying to go ahead and stretch this area back farther to keep everything on the minecart path just a little bit longer. The more you can keep them on that track for this lower section, the better off you're going to be. You can actually still, you still get some combos off that minecart too. Not quite the big ones that we're used to seeing on some of the other maps, but definitely get a little love from the minecart. It saves the day many times on this lower section. Trying to get a little fire set up there too. I want them, like I mentioned before, you want them coming right into the entryway onto the minecart as slowly as possible, and you want to try to keep them stunned there as possible. Give a boom barrel an opportunity to pop out. You can also just keep them on the minecart path. There was an 8x there.
That's a lot of dead orcs.
Not bad considering what we're working with. This was one of the easier waves, I believe. The tough waves were the mages all come on the top. They don't spawn out of this lower crossing area. So Tipsy had a bit of a problem with the mages up there. He had to constantly run all the way back to the line of sight there. Their ranged attack. The main thing on this lower crossing here that caused a problem was the elementals of all sorts. Of course, the water and fire elementals being the new ones, they're definitely the meanest right now. The earth elementals are pretty
Now that's killing with style.
The mountain trolls can be a bit of a pain in the ass too, just because they have such high health.
Wow, that's a lot of death.
But on the waves, you see we've got earth elementals here and a troll. That's not too tough. The the waves, especially after you get farther up, that are heavy in ogres, are the easier waves to achieve
Sometimes
because
I
the
amaze
ogres
myself.
with their big heads, of course. Very easy to sit there and rack up the headshots and keep them stunned and sit still. Now, if there was a way to lay tar down on top of that train track there, the minecart track, this would be a ridiculously easy
Treat
map.
time.
Also, going through it, you know, please
Oh, yeah.
post in the comments below if you have found a way to barricade so that the mobs go across one crossing. That would be completely awesome. We played with it for quite a bit before we started the run, just looking for some
Now, how many was
strategic
that?
barricade
Nah, who
placement.
cares?
And unfortunately could not find a way to make it to force all the mobs. We were trying to force all the mobs to the upper crossing, of course, since we had the wall there. If there was a way that we could have forced them all up top, and if a way is ever found to force them all up top, that's when you'll start seeing the big 4, 5+ million high scores going on this map. I'm assuming right now nobody found a way. A little water puddle, of course. Quite the pain in the ass. Tipsy seemed to think you could shoot it and get rid of it. That's why I was blasting into it there, but to no avail. Just getting rid of the lower boom barrel there. Gonna put another acid sprayer up,
This should be added.
and then I got another boom barrel dispenser right on top of that acid sprayer to drop them down. There's so many potions sitting there right now, and in the later waves I ended up going, at one point, several waves at about 20% health, and couldn't seem to get myself healed up. Go ahead and put in our first and essentially only line of sapper defense. Got some brimstone right there, and I ended up getting rid of that scorcher that was down in the lower section to put another brimstone later. You know, we're hoping that the brimstone there is gonna take care of those sappers for us. It ended up doing very little, but it did knock down a few. I wouldn't want to go without it, that's for sure. Trying to get Tipsy to move around his setup here. Trying to alternate acid sprayer grinder. That way we still have the damage output of the grinder, but getting that slow from the acid sprayer as they go into the grinder to add one more combo, of course. It also helps out in the later ways with the gnolls, because the gnolls, of course, don't run through the traps. They run down the tops of the barricades there, so it's nice to have the acid sprayers out there to give them a little bit of resistance. On the top side, they jump down onto the row of scorchers quite a bit, which is nice because then you don't have to deal with them, because the scorchers flip them over the wall and off to their death. At this point, we're just kind of looking around and trying to think of places to put more traps, but it's definitely a way to go. Now we end up, we start off putting spike traps all across here. We end up removing the spike trap that you see to the right there and putting
Now I can show
scorchers
6
in
orcs at
pointing
once.
towards the track instead. The scorchers, of course, will set those boom barrels off also. So you can do it either way.
Food fight!
You know, we wanted the spike trap for that bleed down there, since down at the bottom we have no other bleeds. And jumping forward here, didn't want to drag this out too bad for you guys, so bumped it forward a notch, save you a little bit of the boredom. Some of the endless mode maps, they're a lot of fun to play, but they're definitely a bit of a grind to watch. So up top we got grinders grinders and acid sprayers all the way down. You can't put something directly above those grinders all the way down the wall, so just the sections that will allow it. We threw boom barrel dispensers up there. The boom barrel dispensers don't help up top near as much as they do at the bottom. Down at the bottom, of course, we're trying to keep everything stunned up in that that initial entry zone onto the minecart path. And then this is the oh shit measure, so to speak. You got your little last minute kill box area, just a way to try to cycle them close enough to the wall to get a grinder up there. And here we go. Right about here is where really you almost need to save your mana and not worry about using a secondary weapon. It seems really boring in the earlier ways because you've got this huge mana pool the whole time and you really don't need to stun anything. Of course, the higher you go, the more crucial that stun's going to be. You know, everybody by now knows the mechanic of those water elementals also. That was a nice little barrel burst. The water elementals were by far the most painful part of this map. The little duplication process when they run over one of the puddles and get buffed up to the next level is just a touch painful. Went up to help Tipsy and decided that was a poor route, so ran back down and ran all the way around here. These fire elementals are mean, no doubt, but it's a lot easier to deal with something that breaks apart and chases you back through traps over and over again than it is to put up with the guys that go over the puddle and all of a sudden are a water lord instead of just a little elemental. We didn't really have much problem with the gnolls in this until we got into the later maps, and the gnolls are actually what finally ended it for us because so many came at once. But for the most part, they're pretty easy. As you see, this gnoll gets rezzed multiple times, to my frustration. But they're still pretty easy to manage. They're easy to stun, and they're not too difficult to kill. Of course, they're never going to run where you want them to run. Like I was hoping one would just come waltzing down the minecart path, but they go wherever the hell they want. The ogres are definitely the easiest to deal with. Big heads and they move slow. Still, I'm still holding on to the hopes of a couple extra combos from that flame bracer. It actually took almost to the end before I finally just came out and said, I wish I would have brought something else. Auto ballistas, although I love the auto ballistas, but I hate mounting them on walls. For some reason, it seems like their targeting is always a little bit sketchy. However, I would have took wall-mounted auto ballistas over the flame bracers or Ring of Lightning. I think we may not have had as many combos as we did, and the combos, of course, are scarce.
I'll just leave this right here.
Into later waves for certain. Now we got to the 5 skull marks, so that was the real goal. When we started this, I had actually told Tipsy that I thought we would be lucky to make it past wave 35. And we made it past wave 35, but
Kill streak.
little null action there, pretty easy to deal with. These fire elementals, I gotta say, as far as the graphic and the animation on them is, it is 1,000 times better than the little character model for the water elementals. The fire elementals look so devious and glowing and active, and the water elementals, although they're a pain in the ass to deal with, the character model makes them look like a bit of a joke. Till they get to the Water Lord, of course, and then they're just the big meanie. The minecart does real well with the little firelings. It doesn't necessarily kill them every time, but it just knocks them way back. It makes it a lot nicer. I was trying to show Tipsy there to don't run away from the firelings, to run back, jump over them and run back through your trap, and then shut one up on me in the middle there. Some 6X's.
Yes! Kill streak!
Yeah, if there was a more effective way, you know, up until really probably wave 40, dealing with the gnolls was just a piece of cake. The earth elementals are really easy to deal with too, and you see here we just have so many of them.
Welcome to
This, I believe, was one of the, you know, this one looks like a handle pretty easily. There was quite a few butt-puckering moments here. I told Tipsy several times that we're going to lose rift points on this wave, and through several of them we managed to hold tough.
Time to go to work.
See wave 30 here. The cycle of the waves, some of them are much easier than others. Headshot's done. Now I'm addict of the crossbow, so pretty much all of my endless maps have been a headshot stun type situation. Just sit there and plug away into them and hope they stay in your traps. What we had discussed afterwards, and I'm not sure exactly how it works, if anyone's certain, if they could post in the comments below, but instead of taking the Ring of Lightning and Flame Bracers, we discussed after we think we should have took the Auto Ballistas and the Trap Reset Trinket. Now, what I don't know is if the Trap Reset Trinket only resets your own traps, or if it resets your partner's traps also. That would be awesome if it reset all the traps. I'm guessing it only resets your own, but I don't know. But I think that was, if we ever do this map again without having a different strategy, which I don't think we will.
Let's roll.
Strategy.
Oh yeah, it's about to get awkward.
Now we jumped up to wave 40 there. This was our 5 skull wave. We were pretty stoked, considering we didn't think we were going to make it past 35. See, now you see that first barricade is gone there, and the second one's taking a bunch of damage, but since we moved the other barricade that blocks off the non-used side where the scorchers are, we move that to the back side, it still forces everything down the minecart path. So that's definitely the way to do it. Still holding up on rift points at this point. We've lost a few, but nothing too terrible. Yeah, I'm not... Now, of course, I got some minecart kills just going through the regular story mode and doing the nightmares, but I'm pretty sure when I did this map on solo by myself on Endless, I got that achievement. The minecart just wrecking shit. The mountain trolls, particularly by this point, wave 40-ish, is a little rough to deal with. They have a ton of health and they've got very little heads. Which, of course, the worst are the mages. Tipsy was screaming about the mages the entire time. We're still hoping. Tipsy has a audio issue with his computer, so we weren't able to record our commentary live here, which would have been much nicer. I wanted to throw something over top of it just to try to explain what we were doing. But hopefully for our next co-op video we'll have that squared away. And you can hear him cussing at me and me cussing at him. There's a 8, a 7, and a 6. Like I said, the combos are a little scarce here. But they worked out. We were pleased with the result of it. We got our 5 skulls. It does get a little bit of grind and a little bit grueling with the headshot stun, particularly in the later waves. You don't get the gratification of the combos as often because nothing's dying. It just takes you forever to kill anything. I think I mentioned it in our Caldera co-op video, where really your limitation on a lot of these endless mode maps is how good of a system you have. If your machine is capable of handling what's going on by wave 50, probably easily make it to wave 50. The full-blown water lords, once they go all the way up, just reminds me of that Aladdin movie way too much. Don't know why. Something to do with that genie. Some of the elementals, of course, are not just the elementals, but some of the mobs, period, are designed to go into the other rift. So, like that one, we got a little lucky. He made a turn that went up the ramp towards the other rift, and I think we still probably would have killed that one.
It's funnier when most.
See, I'm just at this point, we're just blowing the coin we have. Excuse me. Throw up as many traps as you can, just wherever. There's the combo strategy is completely blown out by this point, and it's just a matter of going into survival mode. Trying to survive through just a little bit farther. At this point, we talked, and we were hoping to make it through wave 45, which. Yeah, you see these ogres. Although there's a bunch of them, they're really tough because we're in one of the higher waves. They're just so easy to manage. Just keep them all stunned right there on the track. Take turns on them, headshot them down, let the minecart just keep on wrecking.
Ooh, brutal!
The ogres are definitely the easiest. That was another little bit of a pucker moment, though, with that many coming around. Of course, one of them decides he wants to run the other way, which didn't really hurt my feelings any. And Tipsy on this one was getting beat up a little, so I ran up to help him up. The fire elementals, you really want to kill them. Or the fire lords, any form they can take, you really want to kill them while they're in the traps, particularly at the other end. That way when the little firelings come after you,
It's about to get awkward. For that.
Just let the traps kill them. It makes it a lot easier. See the front barricades got wrecked up a little bit again. Gnolls are coming. This was the only endless map we did so far where the gnolls ended up ruining the day for us.
They're almost there.
You know, they're relatively easy to maintain when there's only a few, but when they start coming at you in the numbers that they do, it's a touch on the ridiculous side.
Stop them quickly!
Just just gotta do what you can to keep them stunned up while they're still over the Scorchers. Now, like I mentioned up top, they run down the path of the Scorchers a little bit better. Now, part of that is where you're standing. When you stand up top, you're standing towards the inside, where here I'm kind of standing towards the outside. And there's my first death. This, I believe, was the end for us. The fire elementals overwhelmed Tipsy up top, and they just started coming. Got right through, kind of ruined the day for us. And that was it. But we got our 5 skulls. Made it to wave 42. We made it to wave 43, but we completed wave 42. Take a look at the stats there. 1.3 million. Not spectacular, but considering the high score is 1.5, that actually gave us, I believe it was 5th place there. So not a bad result. We were hoping to get on the front page, and we were able to. But anyway, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Please subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my blog.